Hi, I wanted to talk to you really quickly about the importance of having a full plan, full understanding of what's going on in the markets, and not simply just having a strategy that you use to trade day by day, no matter what. Understanding that markets are different players, different time frame players are active during different periods is so important to give yourself the best opportunity to take the trades that are much more likely to work than others. Um, Knowing when things are coming out, when not to trade, but also knowing when the market's waiting for certain things is absolutely imperative if you're going to make a success of this. So let's take a look at the Euro futures. We can see, and I've been talking about this a little bit in the room recently, about how Mario Draghi had been talking about the inflation data in Europe and potentially that being low inflation being a cause for concern and having to provide some kind of stimulative measure to counter that and its effects and try to raise the inflation rate somehow, and those are the suggestions. Anyway, the markets certainly started to get interested in these comments, and over the past week or so, any European inflation data was closely monitored, and we had some inflation data that had come in a little bit lower, and markets were thinking, well, hey, that means that the ECB will probably act. And basically, if the ECB was going to act, the European Central Bank, to make some stimulus, they would be providing liquidity in the euro, and therefore the euro against the relative price of the euro against the dollar would go down. And we saw a couple of days where that happened. Well, it was anticipated based on economic releases that might happen, and then we saw this very big contrasting day on the 28th of February, I believe. Now we can see this day in particular was very large. This is a 60-minute euro chart. So what I'm going to do is just show you what came out on that day on dailyfx.com. You can go back, you can do this on Forex Factory or any decent calendar. You can go back to prior days and weeks to see what actually was due out and what the results were. So if you go back to Friday, we can see that the big inflation number there was the Eurozone Consumer Price Index, and that actually surprised to the upside, so it came out higher. It ticked up to 1%, and it was expected. That was the core year-on-year. But everything came out pretty much in the same direction there, and that really surprised people, and people who had been taking positions thinking, well, you know, maybe the ECB will provide some kind of stimulus. Obviously that changed that view, and we had this push back up. Now let me bring this calendar back actually. Knowing that there was a focus on the ECB should have really flagged up the importance, and you know, you should do this every single week, every single Sunday in your preparation for the week. Check what's out, what's due, and what was due on Thursday was the ECB rate decision and the press conference 45 minutes later, and that was really important. And you can actually if you go to the ECB website, you can find the webcast there, and watch that live if that's something that interests you. But the point was that at that point they decided not to act because of inflation data not being too bad, and their expectations are at the moment for inflation to rise over a period of time, albeit remaining subdued for the minute. But that was a really important thing for the week for the euro, and you can see in the next few days that what happened there was on Monday we did have a bit of a drop, but then it did go very sideways, leading into that report. And so if you were hammering away at the market hoping for some kind of action, then you might have been struggling. You might have been struggling to get successful trades and get good runners, and you need to temper your expectations based on what is happening in the broader market. These candlesticks are because something is happening, because of something out there in the market's watching, that's important to the direction, the long-term direction, and big traders and every trader, in fact. And so when the ECB came out and the market absolutely rocketed and carried on and on and on, that should not have been any surprise either. So the key fact to take here is that it's absolutely imperative to understand not only your trade plan, how you interact with the market, but how the market interacts with incoming news and events and important information, in order to price what's fair value and how it should move over time, the value of the particular product that you're looking at, in this case the euro, and understanding the absolutely essential information that's currently incoming into the market is going to help you, in essence, avoid certain situations where maybe trading opportunities are not going to be the absolute peak of their probabilities. So take that into account, take that into your trading, and just make sure over time that that's something that you're always paying due care and attention to. Thanks for watching.